Sherry. Hello, Sherry Fats. Hi, Mother Hen NG. Hi, Basira. Hi.
Hello, 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 hello.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Good to
Is
have
it
you
loud and
here.
clear? Is it loud and
Sorry?
clear? Is it loud
Yes,
and
it is.
clear?
Yes, it is. It's loud and clear. Okay.
Good to see you
Welcome.
again today.
Okay, let's just wait for a few more people to join us and then we can start.
Okay.
Hello, official Uchechi Eze. I hope you have a copy of the book because you're going to read to us as well.
Okay, so I'm joining from my phone, and
Okay.
I'm not sure I'll be able to read because it's an e-copy. I don't have the physical,
Okay.
the paperback just yet. So I'm not sure what
Okay.
would be the best way to read this e-copy whilst I'm
Okay.
joining from my phone. So let me switch on my laptop and see if there's a way around that.
Okay. Because I have a copy open, but it's on my laptop from the Amazon copy.
Yeah, so let me see if there's a way I can go around this.
Hello, official Uchechi.
If we view it on my phone, I don't even think I can do that.
You have to sign off, go off Instagram, I believe. It's the same phone you're using for this live, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm not sure you can exit Instagram to read. So
Yes.
it
So
means
let
you're
me
gonna
see
go
if
off.
I can show my screen, my laptop
Okay.
screen, and
Okay. Oh, I just saw your screen.
yes, I'm going to move this so it's not the view isn't good. So I'm just going to move this and then move it back when we're done.
Okay.
Let's just move this to full screen, read mode. Yes.
Hi, Diary of a Special Needs Mom.
My meeting has started. Okay. So
Yeah.
is
Okay.
that clear?
Will you be able to read that way?
Yes, I will be. Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay,
if
great. So
you
let me just
can,
introduce you.
yes, then we can read this way.
Okay, that will work. Thank you. Okay, so everyone who is here and who will be joining us, Basira, I'm going to introduce her. She is Basirat Razaq-Shuaib is the founder of the Winford Center for Children and Women. She is also the CEO of the Winford Center International, the premier provider of developmental and learning aids for children with special needs in Nigeria. She's an inclusive education consultant. She's also a board certified cognitive specialist and the author of I Am Not Naughty, I Really Mean It. So this is Basira's second book, Dragons Can Sing. She has a picture book before this one, which is I Am Not Naughty, I Really Mean It, a really good picture book. It's a children's picture book promoting disability inclusion, empathy, and kindness. That book was selected as the finalist for the 2020 British Council and Elton Innovation Award. So Dragons Can Sing, like I said, is her second book. So I'm just going to tell you guys a bit about Dragons Can Sing. Dragons Can Sing is a book about Dra. He's a dragon. So the characters in the story are dragons, which I found really fascinating. And Dra wanted to fly and breathe fire like every other dragon, but he didn't realize that his royal red wings and green spikes were not all he needed. So in a kingdom where only the strongest will Dra survive, he was different from all the other dragons. So it's basically a story about inclusion, feeling different, feeling left out, and there's also bullying mentioned in it as well. So that's basically what the story is about. So if you don't mind, can you just read a bit from it? I like the funny parts where his mom could blow something and then she makes the food, or where his friend had his pants on his head. So,
Yeah.
but you're free to choose where you want to read from, but those were my favorite parts.
Okay. I think I have a few favorite things, and that's because I really, really love the illustration. I think this has been illustrated beautifully, but I
Beautifully,
have
I
a few,
agree. I agree.
I have a few favorite scenes. So let's just start from the beginning. So dragons
Okay.
can sing. Dra comes from a fierce, fine, monstrous, fire-breathing dragon family. Legend has it that his family breathes the hottest fires around. They have green spikes and red wings that would make a dragon proud. Dra's dad is the scary king dragon, strong and gigantic with a golden crown on. Once he laughed so hard that he had teardrops of fire. With wings so large, he is the fastest flyer. Even scarier is the protective queen dragon. One breath of fire and every meal is well done. Dra calls her Mama. Running is not fun without traveling practice. She's strong, bold, and a super fire breather. Sometimes she protects him from the other baby dragons, telling them off before they get dragged on. When Dra is not running, he's with Commodore, his best friend, playing games and telling jokes without a clear end. The other day, Commodore wore short on his head as a hat. How in the world did he come up with that? Mom was looking forward to that French flag, but Dra landed on his back, causing a huge fright. Oh dear! I hope you've not hurt Dra, the worried mom asked. This wings are too heavy, Mom, Dra said downcast. You need strong wings to keep you high in the sky, Mom explained to Dra to help him fly. So I'll stop there.
Okay, thank you. Like you said, the pictures are really, really beautiful. We're going to talk about the illustrations while we are talking, because I need to ask, because they were really beautiful. But first of all, I want to talk about the awards. Tell us about the Elton Awards that your first book won. I want to know more.
Okay, so the Elton Award is organized by the British Council. It's used to sort of celebrate. It's someone, as someone put it, they say it's the Oscar of teaching resources in English language. So it is used to celebrate, teaching resources in English language, things
Wow.
that help to promote English language. And they have about 5 different categories. One for teaching resources, different things. For this particular one, where the book was selected, is called the Local Innovation Award, where they check a resource, number one, not just meeting the English language criteria, but also relevant to the area where the person has, provided that particular solution. So in this case, this book is the first children's book on ADHD in Nigeria. So on ADHD. I am not naughty. I'm not naughty is really about ADHD, and that's really the first book, children's book on ADHD in Nigeria. So it's different, it's relevant, and then the fact that it's a good resource for schools and for teachers was why it got selected as a finalist. The winner of the category is going to be announced in October, and all fingers crossed, it could win. It will
Okay.
win.
I wish you the very best. You deserve to win. So
Thank
I
you.
wish you the very best. It's a really
Thank
good
you.
book. All your books are really, really good. And I think that you've done something with picture books that I haven't seen before, essentially. So why children? Why didn't you write to address to teachers or to educators or to parents? Why did you choose to write to children?
Okay, so a few years back, maybe about 3 years ago, there was this viral video of I think it was a girl, probably in the US, who was throwing tantrums in class. Like it was just a girl and the teacher, and her behavior was, I don't know how to explain it. It was really, really bad. She was throwing things. The teacher kept trying to calm her down, but it just wasn't working. And a lot of people were. I saw it on Alibaba's page, and a lot of people were putting comments like, "Oh my goodness, this could only." And then I think there was another video about the girl's mom, saying the girl had been treated a certain way at school. So it was longer than what I had seen, but the part that I saw on Alibaba's page was the part that I commented on. And a lot of people were going like, why is this girl behaving this way? If this was Nigeria or whatever, I would have beaten the hell out of this girl. I would have done this, I would have done that. And I kept thinking to myself, has anyone even stopped to ask, is there any other thing going on with this girl? Like, you remember that video, Sherry Yusufu? So has anyone even stopped to ask if there's any other thing going on? Maybe this girl needs help, really, because there are people who have something called ODD, and ODD is oppositional defiance disorder. And these people, can be so unruly. It's just like bad behavior at the very peak of it. So, and this type of children need help. But the thing is, from the face of it, you can't tell if it's just, mere bad behavior or someone who has something else going on with them. And when I put in my comment, a lot of people came for me like, oh, people like me are the reason, children get spoiled and all of that. And I'm saying, look, by no means am I condoning what this child has done. I mean, it's bad. Someone could get hurt in the process. However, what I'm saying is, before we just go and conclude that, maybe the mom has done a bad job, or, this child is really a bad child, how about we check if this child needs help? And if the child needs help, they should try and help the child before it gets even worse. And there were so many things. There were so many things that came up from that video. In fact, there was a particular lady who commented that she worked in a school where they have children with special needs, and that despite the fact that they had CCTV in that school, they they knew how to sort of circumvent the whole security system and take the children aside and beat them. And you know that just like, oh my goodness. And you had the effrontery to put this right here in public on social media. In any case, maybe it was just you know, God who was just going to expose this particular child. But for me, I could see it. Don't let me say I gave up on adults at that point, but I just saw like, oh wow, these people are long gone. Here's what I'll do. And at that time, I used to do a live session every Saturday called Be Aware, where I talk about, you know, special needs to adults, like what to look out for, teachers, parents, mainly those two categories of people, teachers and parents, what to look out for, how to help children and all of that. And it was at that point I just decided, you know what, let me fleet my energy and just channel it to another generation, right? Another generation that can be rescued. That's not to say that our generation cannot be rescued, but look, I might have a better chance of rescuing some other people, the ones who are yet to be, you know, corrupted by this group of adults who I'm reading from on social media. Let me go and meet those people. And so it was sort of like a two-pronged approach for me. We'll still continue to talk to the adults. However, the moment we start talking to the children can take some of their lessons home to the adults. So the adults are listening to it from you know, social media, from all the platforms, and then the children are also coming to talk about it at home. And so that's where, you know, the message just keeps going and keeps spreading, and hopefully we can get children who would end up like this set of adults that we're trying to fix. Because as you probably appreciate, if we don't fix, if we don't correct the notion in children, or if we don't set things right in children, they're going to grow up with the wrong notion, growing up into adults who are not inclusive, or who are not even willing to tolerate that idea that, you know, something might be wrong with someone, and it wouldn't necessarily be that the person is on a wheelchair or that sort of thing. So that was where, you know, I just started the whole children. Let's go talk to children. But as you probably know, I mean, if I wasn't doing this, I'd say talking about special needs or health matters can be a bit boring. So you've got to find a way to bring it to life for children. You know, you want them to get interested in this whole topic. You want them to get the message, and you don't want to bore them. So that was how I got into, you know, children's books, and that's why I write only about this sort of thing. Now, to the other question, which is why not, you know, a resource for teachers and all of that. Yes, there's something like that in the works. It's coming. There's going to be a resource for teachers. However, I just feel like there isn't enough content, number one, for children around this area, and number two, it's not, when you find books talking about special needs, you also tend to find books that are not representative enough. So yes, they're talking about special needs, but you don't find children of color in a lot of those books. And I buy those books. So when I buy books for my kids, right, I buy mainstream books, and then I buy books about different special needs, and I read it to them. And I know that when I look at the stash that we have there in the library, I can't even pick out one single book that we have bought outside of Nigeria that has a person of color as the main character. None at all. They're all not people of color. So there's a huge gap that needs to be filled in terms of, you know, writing for children and putting this story in characters that they can relate with. And that's how all of this started for me.
Okay, so what does Winford Center do? Because I imagine that's what inspires all of your work. So what does Winford Center do?
So really, Winford Center exists to answer one question: What happens next? Once I've gotten the diagnosis of whatever developmental disabilities that a child might be experiencing, what happens next? And that is the gap that we hope to fill. WIFR Center for Children and Women is a charity that supports children who have developmental disabilities and their families, mainly their moms, because they tend to be the ones who are more with the children. So that's what we do. However, how do we support those people? It's in the area of education and social inclusion. So inclusive education and social inclusion. And it's in supporting, children and families in these areas to say, what can I use to support you? What can I what can I give you? How are you going to progress beyond just having a diagnosis? So that's really what we do, and we empower teachers. So there's a one-to-one approach, which is we're working directly with children. We don't use that approach. There are already people working with children, but they don't have the tools and resources that they need to work with this category of children. So our work is to go fill that gap and give them the tools and resources that they need so that they can help this other group of children, because they already have they already have the ability to work with children anyway. So it's to amplify the work that they're currently doing to cover more children who have special needs. And I think
do you make the diagnosis?
Sorry?
Does Winport Center make the diagnosis?
No, we don't. We do not make diagnosis. However, one of the things that we say to people, we have people who don't know how a diagnosis comes about. Like, what process do you have to go through to even get a diagnosis? How do you get a diagnosis? And how do you know that the diagnosis that you have received is a valid one? So it's those type of things. We are not, NOT capital letters, we are not qualified to give diagnosis, and we don't do it. And we still do not encourage people to get diagnosis from people who were not qualified to give it.
Okay. So, but how did you get into this line of work? I still don't have that question. Did you go to school?
How did I get into this line of work?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was working in a bank in England, and I was doing, just fine. And someone close to me moved from England to Nigeria, and they weren't in Lagos, right? So when they moved, sorry, please just give me a minute.
Okay.
Can you please go out and shut the door? Thank you. Not now, please. Okay. Thank you. All right, I'll do just that. I will do just that. Thank you. As you can appreciate, I'm home with the kids and I don't have any help with babysitting, so I am doing both at the same time. So so this person moved from England to Nigeria. They weren't in Lagos. They were in a state, a much smaller state. And I heard the story of their child who they were struggling to get a school for. And when I heard the story, I just thought, like, how can it be so difficult to get a child into a school? Like, yes, the child has special needs, but why is that such a big deal? I expect that every school should have, maybe a provision for children who have special needs. And why am I saying that? Because I was already aware of the educational system in England, and I understand how it works. So for me, it was like, it's the standard thing, right? It's what you find in every school. So it's what you should find here as well. And they were like, no, this and that. Everywhere they went, they were turned away. They were turned away. I see Ronnie G1 has joined. Thank you for joining. Everywhere they went, they were turned away because no one knew exactly how to help this child. And so I spoke to someone else that I knew. Wait, like, have you heard this person's story? Why are they going through such a difficult time, just getting this child into school? Perhaps I can help, I know that there are resources here that can help this people. If truly the services don't exist, then perhaps I can channel resources from here back there. You know, this is the whole point of being in a place where you have more resources and you come from another country. When you're from two different places, you should see how you can connect them and, you know, just be a resourceful person. And this was how it all started for me. Like, let's see how we can take resources from England and take to Nigeria and see how we can support not just this particular family, but if this is what they're going through, then it's probably, you know, what many other people are going through. And quite frankly, what if this was me? I wouldn't have to wait until, you know, it's me. Or what if this was me? Would I wait for someone to do something about it, or would I do something about it myself? And that was how I got into this. But more importantly, I think this work is a calling. Okay, so and this really beats every other story that I tell. When something needs to be done, when things need to be fixed or corrected, God uses people, right? So I believe that I have just been activated for that purpose, right? So it's like when you have agents, like when you know those books that we read, when you have agents and things that there have been things instilled in them, but those things are latent, and then when they're ready to be on the field, they get activated. That's how I feel about all of this. Like, you know what, God just needed this to be done. Look for a soldier who's ready, who's the soldier that I have put this in and just activated the soldier. You go get this done. Because everything that happened afterwards was just like, I got more interested in doing this work and got less interested in doing finance, which I've done for years. And so that's just how all of this started for me. And the more I do it, the more I feel like this industry needs me. I feel like, you know, that there's something, that there's a change that I can make here. I can actually make a difference here. And so I am encouraged by, you know, what I see happening, and the future that I have imagined is going to, what the future is going to be for children who have special needs, you know, being included in society. So I'm encouraged to continue to do this. And who knows, maybe once I'm done with this assignment, God will activate me again and say, okay, next I need you to go and do this other task that has nothing to do with this one. And I move.
Okay. Interesting. So why dragons? Are you a lover of fantasy? Did you find it easy to write?
So I'll tell you why I chose dragons. Number one, I needed a character that every child could relate with, right? Like, that had no barriers at all. So even though, you know, there are no dragons in Nigeria or they're mystical creatures, everyone knows about dragons. Everyone can relate to dragons, and children just, you know, they really love dragons.
Exactly.
They understand the character. And
Exactly.
I also needed something that would clearly demonstrate the difficulty that character was having. And I didn't want to use a person. Also, because I had written I'm Not Naughty, and I'm Not Naughty, I used a person. For this one,
Yeah.
I wanted to go a bit lower to younger readers without actually using a person this time around. And I thought, okay, let's go with animals for younger readers, and older readers can also relate to this. And so
Yeah.
a dragon was just what came to mind. Like, with a dragon, I could show a remarkable difference in what is expected, because without any prior teaching, you know, a lot of children can tell you once they hear dragon, they know what to expect. And so it would be easy to just draw the difference between what the dragon was expected to do and what the dragon was actually doing. And that is how I got dragons. So am I a huge fan of dragons? I wouldn't say yes. However, this just seemed to work perfectly for this purpose, and I love how it all came together. So.
And I feel like children who are reluctant to read books from Nigeria will be able to relate better, because they read about dragons in in the foreign books that they read, and putting dragons in a book, in a story. I mean, you can't, if not for the name of the author, it's hard to tell that the story came from a Nigerian writer, which is fascinating to me.
I know. It's been, was it easy to write? Huh? So, not without some research, right? Not without some research. Because here is the thing, as you probably would appreciate, when you start writing for a particular genre, you also need to understand how to place your characters and how to, even if it's fictional, how fictional do you want it to be? Do you want to be so far away from what exists in real life, or do you want it to be, close? So I knew it was fictional, but at the same time, I didn't want it to be completely different from what you will find when you're reading about the real dragons, So I had to do a bit of reading about dragons. I had to do, understand sort of what they eat. And this was the point where I had to research, what exactly do dragons eat? Do we have anything to back up, the fact that this is what they eat, or this is where they live? Where do they live? I don't know. So it was good to do some research about them and just fuse it all in.
Okay, nice. So let's talk about the illustrations. I found the illustrations really, they were really, really well done. Tell us about the process, getting an illustrator and bringing it to life.
So the person who illustrated this book, his name is Lekon Salami. Lekon was also the person who illustrated my first book. I'm not naughty, I really, really mean it. So I've worked with Lekon and I understand how he works. But how did I find Lekon? When it was time to illustrate the book, I just reached out to one of my friends. And I said I was looking for an illustrator. And she had worked on a project with another person who was writing a children's book, and said, I'll give you the contact of some person. I have seen his work, and I think his work is good. So they gave me she gave me Lake's contact details. However, there was this book I had seen online on Instagram, and I thought it was well illustrated. I liked the characters. And I was going to reach out to the person, to the author of that book, to ask who illustrated the book, and if, she could put me in touch with the illustrator. And coincidentally, I met that particular author at a gathering in December, I think it was December 2017. I met her there, and she gave me a complimentary copy of her book. And I said, oh my goodness. When I looked at the book, I saw, because on the cover, the illustrator's name wasn't on the cover. When I looked inside the book, I discovered it was the same Lekon. So when the person had given me Lekon's details, the person didn't mention what book Lekon illustrated. Just gave me and said, if I worked on a project, Lekon was the person. Here is Lekon's details. And then I meet this other person who I wanted to find out who illustrated her own book, and it turns out to be the same person. So it was like, oh, this is a date. This is a date. Well, Lekon come to me in different forms, and I went with him. So the first illustration, we worked together, and I have come to understand how it works, and we work in relationships. As soon as that was done, I had already started. Oh, you're back. So I had started writing this one before I'm Not Naughty was published. This was already in the works. So as soon as I'm Not Naughty just hit the market, we just went on to continue work with this one. And the thing is, right, when people, and this is what I say to Lekon, I'm very particular about details, right? And my book, for everything, it's not just my book. For me as a person, excellence is something that is a value for me. Everything I lay my hand on must be excellent. So I don't want you to take a book that I have written and say it wasn't well done. No. Or, you know, you can present the book alongside other books because it was written by a Nigerian. I didn't want that. I wanted this book to sit on the shelf, you know, across the world with other books, without anyone segregating and saying, is that, oh, this book doesn't look as good as every other book. You know, I want it to be done to world-class standards. And so anytime, and Leighton already understands that. So when we're working, he'll give me a draft of something, and someday I'll put it up. I'll show where we move, like the first version of anything and the last version. When the illustrations were complete, and I told Lekon, you know what, just put in the columns and let's see what you have. If I show you what we had then and what we finished with, you are going to be like, oh my God, how did you move from here to there? You're going to be like that. So for me, if it's not good enough, it's not good enough. And we will continue to revise it until I have exactly what I want. So, but Ileko is an amazing person. Just to give you guys, like, you know, a spoiler alert, there's going to be a sequel to this particular book, so there's another one coming. And I already told him, look, Ileko, just take a breather. Once we're done getting out the paperback, because the paperback is not out in the market yet. Once we're done getting out the paperback, we're going to go back and start illustrating the next story. So he's an amazing person to work with. I'll recommend him to anyone and everyone who's looking for an illustrator, and not just for children's books.
Okay, Sherry Isupu asked, what's the age range for this book? That the illustrations are really amazing. What would you say
I'll
the
say
age
range? I'll say about 3 to 8. So 3 to 8, and the reason is because when I first wrote it, remember I said I was targeting younger readers. So my first book, I think the starting age is 4, about 4. Yeah. So for this one, I wanted to target, you know, younger readers. And when I started testing the content, the first group of people that I tested the content with were nursery children. I needed to be sure that they would get the story. Like, if I read the story to you, do you understand it? And
yes,
like 9 out of 10 times that I have read the story, you know, just to check that the content was okay, I have read to nursery children, just to make sure that they understand the message. Yeah. So I'd say about 3 to 8.
Okay. Sherry said that the sequel should be with dinosaurs.
With dinosaurs! Oh my goodness, that's going to be so funny. Okay. The story has come to mind now. Okay, so there's a plot twist. There's a plot twist in the sequel. However, it doesn't have dinosaurs. But this is a good one. Maybe. Oh wow, that would be totally crazy. Like dinosaurs and dragons. Wow. That is some imagination, Sherry. That is some imagination. But oh my goodness, dinosaurs and dragons. Who's going to? This is going to burn them with fire. But thanks for suggesting that. I'll call with the idea and see maybe I can do something with it. And if I do something with it, I remember Sherry Isupu gave me that idea.
Okay. I want to ask, how do you teach children to stand up for themselves? I noticed that in the book, Dra was encouraged to work on his gifts, the things that he was good at. Is that one strategy to encourage kids to be confident and stand up for themselves?
Yes, that's one strategy. Another thing, you have read, I'm not here, I really, really mean it.
Yeah.
One of the things that you would find in that book is the positive affirmations. There's a lot that happens in the mind, right? And this is the mind is the foundation of everything. It's where we build, the real structure. Every other thing just goes on top of what is already existing in the mind. So for me, it's so important that we get the mindset right for children. And when it comes to building their own confidence, it's first looking at yourself and being able to accept yourself, and being able to love yourself, and being able to accept your own difference. Because if you can accept your difference, right, it will be easier for people to get to you, right? But if you have come to terms with your difference, to say, look, yes, I am different from the rest, it doesn't mean I am less. I am different, but I am special even the way I am, and I'm capable of doing amazing, amazing things. So it's easier for you to stand up to people. And for all of those things, we just need to tell children what they need to do, because sometimes we expect that children would know what to do, but they don't. So we just need to tell them this is how to face it. Talk to yourself, believe in yourself, and surround yourself with people that believe in you, which is one thing you would see play out so well in this particular book.
Yes.
Surrounding yourself
Yes.
with people who believe in you. A week ago, no, not a week. Yeah, about a week ago, I posted a video of this child who has cerebral palsy, right? This child who has cerebral palsy and has a brother. So the child is on a wheelchair. She was trying to play basketball. And of course, because the child has cerebral palsy, there was no way for her to throw the ball right into the net. And the brother pulls down the net to literally hand level, just so she could roll the ball, not even throw it, roll the ball, and you could see the girl making so much effort. She used all her energy to roll the ball just into the net, and the boy kept cheering on, you can do this, you can do this. And as soon as the ball rolled into the net, they cheered. That's the boy, and I think the dad, like, yay, and clapped. That video has been one of the videos where I have gotten one of the highest engagement on my page, because everyone, look, it is so important for you to surround yourself with people who would see the good in you, right? Who would look beyond the things that you're able to do and just cheer you on to be the best you can. He wasn't cheering her on to stand up. He wasn't cheering her on to throw the ball. He was cheering her on to roll it into the net that he had even pulled down for her, bringing it to her level. So it's so important for you to have people who are saying positive things to you, who are saying positive things to your kids. So it's not one method is telling the children to say positive things to themselves. Another thing is getting people around you to say positive things, to you, and you being the person who also says positive things to the kids. I'm going to read out one fact for you. And this is just to buttress what I have just said. This is statistics. One reason children and young adults with special healthcare needs might be at a higher risk of bullying is lack of peer support. Having friends who are respected by peers can prevent and protect against bullying. And this is a research fact. So you can see how important it is that we get children to understand what bullying does to other children, how important it is to be, to be positive around other children and not put them down because of the things that they are unable to do. And if we don't fill this gap, quite frankly, the children can just make up whatever it is that they want to make up in their mind. That's how creative they are.
Okay, Sherry said you're doing such an amazing job. The industry really needs you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you.
Okay, so my next question, I know that outside of Nigeria, they have this social emotional learning bit of their curriculum. So it's included in their curriculum. Is there any work being done to include books like this and um, lessons like this in the curriculum that we have in schools currently? Yes, please.
So getting this into the curriculum, I'll share what I know about Lagos State because I don't think you can just like go to federal government straight. The state tends to decide what books that they use and how to infuse things. So yes, this can go into the curriculum under, I think it's social studies they do now.
So
Social studies,
yeah,
yes, it can go under the curriculum, under social studies, and under PE, PSHE.
PS,
Yeah, I think they have that as well. It can go under those two. But getting the state government to adopt a particular book as part of their curriculum is part of the process. So first you have to send the books to them, then you need to get them to something that, a process that we have now started looking into. If we can get children, to do this, it's so important because increasingly we're talking about inclusive education. And a critical part of inclusive education is the social acceptance. You don't want to take children to schools where they're going to be bullied, where they're not going to be accepted, where they're going to be looked down on or talked down to, and all of that. So we have started the process. It might take a while, and as you appreciate, we don't have quick turnaround times here in Nigeria, but yes, it's something that we're looking into, and it would be a great area of influence if we can get, the state government to adopt this as part of the curriculum. And please, if there's anyone listening, or if there's anyone who is going to listen to this afterwards, and you know that you can facilitate this process, please, by all means, reach out to me and let me know how you can help. It would really, really be helpful for schools, for children, and for the society at large if we are able to infuse this as part of the curriculum.
Okay, then we're going to go to reading. I know for you to bring out content, good content, book-wise, you also have to be a reader. So tell us how you can advise parents who are trying to raise readers, who are trying to get them to read books like yours, and also for parents to see that even from reading books, children can learn empathy, can learn to be inclusive from just reading books. How would you encourage parents to do that?
Let me tell you something. I am a living testimony of the change that reading can do to children. So when my son was much younger, I think he wasn't one, my sister asked me if I was reading any books to him. And I thought because he was going to nursery, like I really didn't need to do anything, right? So for me, I was comfortable with the fact that, yeah, we're in a place where English is the first language. They're going to teach him English when he gets to school, and they're going to teach it well, and they're going to encourage him to read. So really, what's there for me to do? There was nothing for me to do, and I wasn't reading to the child. I said, how can you, in this age and time, not be reading to your child? And you're saying because the child is not yet one, why are you not reading? So, in fact, she bought the first book. Like, that was how concerned she was. She was like, you know what? Just to encourage you, I'm going to buy you the first book. And she bought the first book for us. And after that, I started reading to him. Now, let me tell you, as we progressed to reception, and by the time we were in reception, right, he was reading at year 1 level. That was the change that we had managed to accomplish. He had become, someone who loved reading. This was someone I wasn't reading to before. And quite frankly, he didn't know the difference, and a child is like a sponge. The more you expose them to, the more they're able to absorb. So the fact that I wasn't exposing him meant, he didn't feel like he was losing anything. But the more I exposed him, the more he was doing well. And the more he did well, the more encouraged he was to even want to read more books. And so by the time we got to reception, he was already reading at year 1 level. By the time we were in year 1, he was already reading at year 2 level. And, well, it is important. That's all I can say to you. If you want to encourage children to be readers, there's no way, there's no two ways to go about it. Just buy books. Give them books. Give them books. Give them books. Now, there's also something that I have noticed, which is, number one, giving children books that you think will be good for them, right? Rather than letting them pick books that they're interested in. Because reading is a skill. And being an ardent reader is also a skill that can be built. But it's also a skill that can be lost, right? People can, and that building that skill comes from building interest in that activity. When one is genuinely interested in doing something, you don't need to force them. However, if I keep shoving books at you that you're not interested in reading, over time, you will lose interest in reading altogether. And whether it is now the books that you're interested in reading or the ones that you're not interested in reading, I might completely just lose you, or I might completely just have, deterred you from reading. So it's so important that we let children pick the books that they want to read, that they're interested in reading, regardless of what we feel as parents. So just fill your library with books, or put them in a place where they have access to books. For me, for instance, one of the biggest challenges that I have is my kids love reading paperbacks, and we've exhausted everything. The books that they want to read now, not everything in the library, because they haven't read everything in the library, but there are books there that if you ask them to go and pick books, 10 out of 10 times they won't touch them. And these are books that maybe I have bought thinking, oh, this book has this book has that, they should be interested. But 10 out of 10 times, if you ask them to go and pick a book, but there's some books that, every time you ask them to go and pick books, they tend to pick, those books. And now I have run out. So if you don't have all the books, make sure that, you have a library closed, like what Bookworm Cafe is doing. Make sure that you can reach out to them where you can go get books, read, and then return. But it's just so important that you allow children to read, that you start reading to them early, even before they can talk. It's so important. Read to them, because what you're helping them do is you're helping them build a vocabulary bank, such that whatever you don't have in your head, you can use. And you can find that there's times that, people are trying to talk or even say things and you're saying, what's that word? If it's not there, you can't, you just can't go back and say, look, I want to retrieve it. And so what you help children achieve is help them build that vocabulary bank, so that when they need to start talking, when they need to start using their words, the words are in there, they can retrieve the words and use them. They've seen them used in books, so it's so important. Reading books about empathy and kindness, why I particularly emphasize that is because nature abhors a void, right? And this is what I have seen happen over time, and from the initiative that we launched. So we have this pioneering initiative we launched called Inclusion Starts With Me. And what we do with Inclusion Starts With Me is we read books about inclusion to children. So we go around schools reading books about inclusion to children. We don't read any other books. We only read about inclusion and disabilities to children. And we read repeatedly to them, because it's not enough to read to them once. If you read to them once, you can forget. So you need to, repeat the message so that they master it. One of the things I have found doing that is that nature abhors a vacuum. If there's a vacuum, children will feel it some way. Anyway, they will think up something and finish. I went to read at a school a while back. I went to read at a school, and when I got there, after reading the book, children, young children, innocent minds, and I went like, would anyone like to be this girl's friend? And like almost all the children said yes, but a few children said no. And honestly, this came to me as a rude shock because I expected all the children to just say, yes, would anyone like to be this girl's friend? Yeah. But no, some people said no. So for me, it was sort of like a teaching moment, like, okay, yeah, can you share with me why you wouldn't want to be friends with this particular girl? And one of the children said, look, I don't want to contract what this girl has. I mean, you said this child has cerebral palsy. I don't want to, by associating with this girl, I am going to catch what this girl has. And I had to then step back and re-explain to the kids over, if this was you, would you want people running away from you? If your answer is no, then please don't run away from children who are experiencing this. More importantly is that disabilities are not contagious. So don't think that by being friends with someone or by being nice to someone that you're going to, it's not like a flu. You don't just catch it because someone next to you has it. It doesn't work like that. And it was my hope that after that day, something had shifted in that boy's mind or in those children's minds, the ones who felt, no, I can't. Now, how did these children come to the conclusion that if they became friends with that girl, that was going to be
So we have to wrap up. Almost 1 hour. We have to.
Yes. So it was one of many things, it could have been that, someone said it to them, or they just made it up, or it's just how it is around them. So it's very important that we call these things their real names. This person has cerebral palsy, this person has this, and this is how to support, rather than just like cover everything with a blanket of be kind. Yeah.
Okay, so one last question. When should we expect the paperback?
By the end of this month. That's what I have been promised. And I hope that they keep to their end of the promise. So by the end of this month, or hopefully we should have the paperback. I am looking forward to it. I can't wait to, that feel or the smell of paper. I really like it. So I can't wait to have that in my hands.
Okay, so for people that have asked, we're going to have copies, and I'm sure you can find copies in major bookstores. And I know Sherry is not in Nigeria. You can get it on Amazon. I have an Amazon copy currently, a Kindle copy currently, so you can get it on Amazon as we speak. You're welcome, Sherry Fat. So if you're not, even if you're in Nigeria, you can also get it, because I have a copy myself, but it's a Kindle copy. I'm waiting for the paperback, but for now, the Kindle copy will do. And we'll read it that way. So thank you so much, Basirat, for coming.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We're really looking forward to the book, and also some other people here too. We're looking forward to the book. We can't wait.
Thank you so much.
Done on a very fantastic job that you have done.
Thank you. Thank you. It gladdens my heart to hear this. It's such a big.
Okay, the book is called Dragons Can't Sing. Someone asked.
And people say, I'd love to read your book, or I'm looking forward to reading your book. It makes such a huge difference to me. So thank you so much. And thank you for, putting all of this together, and for, holding copies and making them available to people. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.
All right, thank you. And thanks everyone for joining. Thank you, Sherry Yesufu. I'll play with your idea and see where I can get with that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. And bye, everyone.